All right, we got another video here doing wood identification. Right now we're looking at some walnut logs. Walnut has this light grayish bark. It's very furrowed here. You can see the nice ridges here. They're kind of more rounded than they are flat. I'll show you some ash here in a little bit, but kind of rounded over a little bit. A little bit of diamond shape in here. You can kind of see where this kind of comes together. But it's not a huge characteristic of walnut, but one of the main things that make this wood so desirable is just this dark wood in here. So the sapwood is this white ring out here. That's the newer growth, and the older growth is the heartwood here. And this is just a dark, usually like a purplish color. It dries out a little bit in the sun, but when you cut into this fresh, it's really, really nice wood, valuable for logs. So you can kind of see that's a big characteristic. If you're looking at this wood, you'll see this dark wood on the outside here. Just kind of a quick aside, it becomes dark because all of the chemicals, the waste chemicals, fill in these pores as opposed to getting excreted. It's kind of their waste management system. So in this tree, it comes out as a really dark color. But light gray, got some good furrows on it. And then we'll go over here to some apple wood. So apple wood is usually a little more, we've got some fissures on here. They're extremely shallow. This is more of like the scaly type bark. You can kind of see it peeling off here. It kind of comes off in strips sometimes, or even just like little potato chippy type shapes again. Usually pretty thin bark. Here's another good example of that chippy, that platiness comes on there. Usually a light gray when it gets in the sun for a while, but a darker red, purple you'll see sometimes. The wood can also be dark as well, but it's not as high valued as the walnut is. This is usually more of a decay thing than it is a actual color of the tree thing. But this wood is really good. Very fragrant, used for making like smoking and that type of stuff. So that's something we'll be selling people as we go along here. But another good wood, very aromatic for the grills and for the smoking. This is cedar right here. You'll see that this bark is a lot different than the ones we've talked about so far because it comes off in strips. You can actually kind of make ropes out of this if you were very careful pulling it off. This is older wood, so you can kind of see it pulling off like there. The cedars are kind of the only tree that has this characteristic type stripping off. Sometimes the younger elms will have that as well, but not a huge characteristic for the elms. This is an older piece, so you usually get darker wood with this reddish tinge on the newer type of stuff. The wood in a red cedar, you'll kind of see there's redness on the inside here, very nice and vibrant when you first start off, but it decays over time in the sun, kind of burns out with a light colored sapwood ring. The white cedars will not have red in it at all, but has very similar looking bark. White oak right here, you'll see that the bark is kind of thin. There's furrows and they're kind of blocky shaped as you go along here. There's like little blocks within each one of these furrows. You'll see that a lot in white oaks. The bark is kind of thin, in comparison to like a bur oak, which also is kind of blocky, but way more aggressive looking, but most similar to the white oak here. You'll also see a lot of these, when it dries, it checks like this, but most woods do that. Sometimes you'll see rays. Rays will look very similar to what these checks are. And in fact, if you look real close, these white lines are the rays, and those are gash and waste exchange from the inside of the tree to the outside. So you'll see those pretty characteristically in white oaks and all oaks, but red oaks in general, but you'll see them in the white oaks and the bur oaks as well. But that's a good way to tell oaks, by seeing those rays, just their presence. And I think that might be it for this pile. This is more white oak. Looks pretty similar, like those blockiness like we were talking about. Usually a lighter gray, turns like a brownish, whitish even when it gets older. And that's another walnut. That's it for this video.